პანელს წარუძღვება ბატონი საგარ ვიშნოი, Future-ში ლაბის დირექტორი. ჩვენი ეს პანელი იქნება ინგლისურენოვანი, ეხლა მე წარმოგიდგენთ პანელის წევრებს. საერთაშორისო საგანმანათლებლო ლიდერი და TEDx-ის სპიკერი Andrea თომასი, ბატონი პროფესორი Matteo Mastracci, უფროსი იურისტი იტალიის განათლების სამინისტრო და ქალბატონი თამთა ლეკიშვილი, ბიზნესისა და ინჟინერიის ფაკულტეტის ვიცე-დეკანი აღმოსავლეთ ევროპის უნივერსიტეტი, სტარტაპ კოლაინ ტემპოსის დამფუძნებელი და ციფრული პროდუქტების ტესტერი. ძალიან დიდი მადლობა, მგონი შეგვიძლია ეს პანელი დაიწყება ბატონი საგარის პრეზენტაციით 15 წუთი და შემდეგ გადავალთ უშუალოდ დისკუსიაზე.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here from morning. And I want to start my presentation with a question that I think most of you have grappled with recently. How many of you have asked AI chatbot to answer any question in the past week? You can raise your hands. And how many of you are guilty of it, of asking AI chatbot of answering any question? Okay, every day, yeah. But today I want to talk about why that guilt might be misplaced, and most importantly, why what you just admitted or doing, communicating through prompts, is not a technical skill reserved for engineers. It is rather than a universal skill that we all need to master. I'm Sagar Vishnoi, and I'm the director of Future Shift Labs. It's a think tank based out of New Delhi, India. And we work on the intersection of AI, governance, and topics like health, education, gender. What I'm about to share today with you is not about becoming a prompt engineer. It is about understanding the nuances of prompts and becoming literate in a fundamentally new way where humans and machines both are communicating. Let me paint a picture for you. You are Alina, and you are running a photography studio. A client named Henry comes to your grand opening, and it's a wonderful day. You have met Henry's parents who have come from Canada. Everything is beautiful, picture perfect. The next day, you send Henry a confirmation mail about their upcoming appointment. Now, here's the interesting catch, which you can write either through the first way or through the second way. The first way is more about how the English teachers would say, okay, write in a very structured and formal manner, right? And yeah, the second way is more about how the platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, they are going to say. But the tension lies here. When we communicate with AI, when we prompt our different AI tools, those systems prefer something closer to the first version, specific, structure, and formal. And here we are facing this paradox, like the same message but different languages, right? What our students need here? A mix of both, maybe? This is not a small question, and this is what we are going to explore today. And understanding that we are wrestling within this education where AI has started impacting. So, what is prompt literacy? It is not prompt engineering, what we are providing to the AI chatbots. It is the ability to communicate effectively in a world with proper nuances related to social, ethical, and context, and even intent. Understanding different dialects from where the particular person is coming, understanding the social behavior, how humans are interacting, understanding even the grammar, because it is the grammar which makes us reliable to communicate properly to each other. And even ethics. Are there trustable and phrases which have integrity? That's why humans communicate, right? So from all these social awareness factors, the complete concept of prompt literacy arrive, right? Which is very different from prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is more about technical skill. We provide to AI chatbot, okay, make this tool for me, make this website for me. Very mechanical. Prompt literacy is more about citizen awareness so that they can understand the social, ethical, and cultural dimensions. But why it is important? For that, we have to go a bit in past. Maybe in the early 90s, something shifted, like people adopted and started using SMSs. And the 160 characters limit became the new phenomena. And people invented abbreviations like U for YOU or numeric 2 for TO. Entire grammatical structures collapsed into shorthand, and teachers and educators were horrified. But I would say, like, technically, they were destroying one kind of language to create another. And then come the mid 2000 when the social media arrived, emojis arrived, right? And we were performing identity because those emojis provided another way of expression. We were creating brand, we were participating in culture through language. And now, in the late 2010 till 2025, we have came to AI chatbots, where we are seeing students using abbreviations and slangs, which are becoming part of even formal discussions. And not because of laziness, but it is like the boundary between formal and informal context has been fundamentally blurred, right? And the prompting is becoming new normalized communication mode. And also the question is no longer like, will AI be part of communication? The question is, how do we prepare people to thrive in this new reality? So there are different researches held by different researchers, which talks about what has happened. And understanding this, the transition is not without cost. So here, there are few losses which has occurred. The research is showing us real losses we need to take care of seriously. First, the loss of nuance. When we simplify language, for efficiency, we lose texture. We lose the ability to express the subtle, the ambiguous, the beautifully contradictory aspects of human experience. Poetry doesn't survive in prompts, neither does mystery. Second, the erosion of empathy. Suppose when you are optimizing for the machine rather than the human reader, you tend to optimize away emotional intelligence. You skip the I noticed you seem quiet, or and go straight to let's schedule a meeting, right? So empathy is lost. Another is decline in formal writing skill. I was talking to a professor like a few minutes back, and she was telling me like students nowadays struggle to write essays because they cannot think deep and critical, right? And the most important is homogenization of risk in the marginalization of diverse dialects. When we are writing to optimize for an AI system, we are typically writing in standardized English. But our human language is magnificent precisely because it's diverse. I speak Indian English. You might be speaking Georgian English, and there are many people who are speaking different version of English, right? So dialect is an identity. Dialect is about culture and history. And because of this, because of standardized English in the prompts, dialects are losing, and they are the real losses, and we cannot dismiss them. But there are few gains as well, and which are like there is clarity and precision in digital communication. I was trying to create a complete agent last week and a dashboard last week. I precisely gave the prompt which resulted me into a dashboard, right? So this is somehow students are learning to be explicit, to break down their thinking into component parts so that they can get the desired results. Another gain is like how we can like teach prompt engineering, right? Which is somehow resulting in better somewhere critical thinking, understanding the high educational value. We teach students to ask, what am I trying to accomplish? Who am I trying to reach? what am I not saying, which is philosophical thinking. This deepens critical reasoning. And another is like its influence, AI influence on vocabulary. When we learn to prompt effectively, we learn that the quality of our question determines the quality of our answer. Students are becoming more thoughtful interlocutors, so not just passive recipient of information. And the fourth is AI is actually influencing to ask students to ask better questions so that when they make certain words more accessible, they can also ask better questions. So we have losses and gains happening simultaneously. And this research isn't telling us to panic or to celebrate. It's telling us to pay attention and to be intentional about how we navigate this shift. Let me name the core tensions explicitly because these are the choices we are actually making, whether we acknowledge them or not. First is like the clarity for machines versus clarity for machines versus empathy for humans. And who are the priority? Who should we prioritize first? When we optimize for AI readability, we use standardized language, standardized English. We make it more explicit. But humans understand through more implication, through storytelling, through metaphors, right? So whom we have to prioritize? It is the machines or humans. Another is, which is the tension number two, grammar versus efficiency. Grammar exists for a reason. I already said that it ensures that our meanings are transferred in a more reliable language across the context. But standardization also erases the beauty of how communities speak. An efficient prompt strip away dialects which are identity. That is the thing to ponder. These tensions are real. We cannot resolve them by pretending one side doesn't matter. We have to navigate them consciously. And further, those stakes, those tensions are also impacting soft skills. Soft. So when we think about interpersonal communication, there are two pathways. First is the AI direct communication, which is efficient, optimized, standardized, structured. Here I give you prompt and the AI delivers it. Another is human nuanced, right? Which is more relational, which is more exploratory, so that we can say, let me tell you what I'm thinking and maybe you can help me figure out and what I actually mean to say. And so that you can deliver in this particular sense. Right now, we are teaching students to prefer the first. We are rewarding efficiency, but we have to create a generation that can gain the ability to communicate with nuance, especially with other humans. This risk is real because of this risk, we have noticed reduced listening skills, reduced persuasion, reduced non-verbal awareness, and of course, reduced emotional depth because efficiency requires you to cut that. So when we talk about prompt literacy, we are not only talking about a communication skill, we are talking about an entire generation that will retain the capacity for deep, nuanced, empathetic human connection. For that, we have two pedagogical frameworks, two approaches. The first is embedded integration. You embed prompt literacy across all subjects. In history class, students learn to ask AI for different perspectives on historical events. In biology, they learn to prompt for explanations at different complexity levels. In literature, they learn to ask for analysis that either maintains or eliminates emotional language. The advantage students see prompt literacy as a universal skill, not a technical specialty. It becomes part of how they think across domains. But the challenge is teachers need training. They need to understand prompt literacy themselves, which is a big challenge for everyone across the globe. And the second approach is standalone course. Standalone course on digital communication on the rhetoric and the philosophy. of prompting. It becomes like a modern version of debating club or rhetoric seminar. The advantage is depth. We can really explore the ethical dimensions, the philosophical quotients, ultimately creating the skill of the students. And the challenge is like it becomes optional. Some students take it, some don't. So the risk is in creating a new digital divide between students who understand these communication dynamics and those who don't. But I think we probably need both so that there is a dedicated course for depth, students who can take it and not, and embedded literacy across the domain of subjects. And if we are going to embed prompt literacy across education and society, we need guardrails. Guardrails related to different things, understanding like the traditional grammar which is being used, so which should be pro-human. Traditional grammar rules exist because they help humans understand each other. We should keep teaching them not as an alternative to prompt literacy, but alongside it. Second is to teach prompt literacy alongside rhetoric and persuasion. Teach it as a form of rhetoric because that's what it is. You are trying to create a system to think in a particular way, which can be like an art, which can be like an ancient art grounded in classic rhetoric. Third is to emphasize critical evaluation of prompt appropriateness. When a when is a prompt for right choice for communication? When is a human conversation more appropriate? When is formal writing necessary, and when is efficiency what the moment calls for? Students should develop the judgment when to use AI and when to write by themselves. Fourth is to protect and celebrate our linguistic diversity. We standardize prompts, we must explicitly protect non-standardized communities. To celebrate dialects, to celebrate the ways different communities speak. Make it clear that the standardization for machine doesn't mean erosion of human variety. And the fifth is we need educator training and inclusive assessment. Teachers cannot teach what they don't understand. And across the globe, we need to invest a lot in helping educators to learn their own prompt literacy. And then we need assessment structures that don't just measure technical skills or prompt skills, but measure ethical reasoning and emphatic judgment. So, the key takeaways from this is like the prompt literacy is a universal skill. Everyone is going to learn in the evolving technological landscape. Second is the balancing clarity and nuance. We have to understand to prioritize machines and humans, right? So that these tensions cannot be like, and for that we need a better policy, better framework, more investment as well, right? Third is to protect human values, linguistic diversity, interpersonal soft skills, and authentic human connection must remain central as AI tools become more embedded in daily communication, which is foundational to human dignity. The fourth is collaborative responsibility. Collaborative responsibility of educators, technologists, policymakers who must work together to ensure responsible AI integration supported by strong safeguards. This is not a tech problem, it's not an education problem, it's not a policy problem, it's a human problem which requires full spectrum of human expertise. And let me be specific about what each group needs to do. For researchers, like the job is to study the long-term impacts on language, soft skills, and diversity. We are the creators and canaries in the coal mine. Your research will tell us if we are getting this right. For educators, the job is to observe communication shifts and engage in curriculum design. You're on the front lines, you see how students are thinking, how they are writing, and what they are losing and what they are gaining. For policymakers, the job is to develop guidelines for AI integration. They have the structural powers, they can mandate things, they can resource them. And for technologists, the job is to design AI tools that support linguistic diversity. But this is a daily, like for all of us, like we have to think critically whenever we are going to prompt, when to linger in nuance, right? So let me bring this back to where we started. We admitted earlier, like that when asked that AI to write things for you, maybe you felt a little guilty, but here's what I want you to know. There's nothing wrong with that. What matters is that you are conscious about it, that you understand whether you are gaining something or whether you are for what you are trading away, that you maintain the capacity to communicate in multiple ways, efficiently and nuancedly, systematically and empathetically, standardized and diverse. We are living in a linguistic transition era, which is just like the invention of writing, the printing press, or the telephone. That's not something to fear, that's something to navigate very thoughtfully. Prompt literacy is not about becoming more like machines, it's about becoming more fully human in a world where machines are communication partners. So, and because that's where humanity lives, not in efficiency, not in perfection, but in the nuanced, messy, beautiful complexity of human expression and connection. Thank you so much.